Well, we're back on our poncho today. So just to recap, we've got our new push rods installed. We got those from my friend Brian Smith, the Banton push rod dealer down in Texas. Anybody interested and you need some push rods, let me know and I'll give you his contact information. We went and preset our lash, but I don't ever do a final setting on my valve lash on a hydraulic until after I've primed the system. So I've got an oil primer here. It's just a GM oil primer. Here's a tidbit, okay, for most Pontiac guys know this, but if you've never built a Pontiac and you built Chevys most of the time or whatever, Pontiacs have a counterclockwise distributor rotation. They're not clockwise like a Chevrolet. So you need to go counterclockwise. Another thing is you want to verify that you've got oil coming through all the rockers. We've already done that. You see we got oil. Just trying not to make a mess here. But I never go any further until after I've verified that I've got oil coming out of all the rockers. And I've turned the motor over several times while running the drill. Now here's the thing, when you first start priming one like this, you're gonna hear air, and it takes it a while. You're gonna hear that air coming out because you've got air coming through the circuits for your annuluses in your lifters. There's an annulus in there, and that's where it feeds the oil through the lifter, and it comes up through the push rod. So just think about that. All the air that you've got, you don't want to go any further until you verify that you have oil pressure coming up through the rocker arms. Another thing I like to do, I like to verify, it's on the stand. This thing is cheap. These things it's just a little cheap oil pressure gauge, and I have several actually, but we've hooked into actually this car came with a sensor that was basically gets to a certain point until it's got low oil pressure. I'm sure Glenn's gonna go with gauges, but let's check our oil pressure with our drill. I think you know we got good oil pressure. And it's going to, as you go up, you're not gonna have oil obviously until the lifter gets back down into where the annulus is at. So again, we've got oil all over our rockers. I don't want to make a mess, but I just wanted everybody to see that this is where we're at. This is where you want to make sure you have oil coming up through where it needs to go. If not, you need to stop. And I should have previously showed everybody, this is actually for a Chevrolet, but it works. GMs pretty much all use the same type of oil pump shaft. So this just kind of goes into the drive shaft that's driving the pump. But this is something I've used for a long time on the GM units for priming our oil pressure, our oil pumps, to verify oil pressure and then to set the valves. Again, once you get this thing set, you'll notice that all of my adjusters, my locks, they all have the same amount of threads and they're all consistent. So anytime you get where you're looking at an engine, you're trying to troubleshoot one, and you see adjusters all over the place where the thread count's different everywhere, especially on a flat tappet, you got some problems. Okay, now I've laid down my silicone. I made a guide pin for this. I just used one, but it just helps you line it up. That way you're not guessing and pushing this thing all over the place. So I'm about to set my Tomahawk ground valley cover on. And there it goes. I'm going to find that hole. See if I can find it. There it is. Here it goes down. And there it is. Now I'll remove this one. Probably need to use some pliers, but I'll put. Don't forget to put your new grommet on. Came with your new valley cover. It's a lot easier to put it on here before you put your intake on. Number two, we're getting ready to put our intake on. We're gonna go get our bolt, but don't forget your gasket. This one, like this one right here.
You probably put them in the wrong.
You want to put it on? Yeah, there you go.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there it is, folks. We got our Tomahawk valley cover installed. We've got our GM factory intake installed. Now, I do want to say, some people asked, was I going to port these runners out on this intake to match the heads? And the answer is no. I spoke with Glenn, and it's a lot of time. It's a lot of time, at least for me, to go in and get the bits and try to blend this thing back. I know a lot of guys that do this all the time. They're gonna say it's not gonna take you any more than X amount of time. Glenn doesn't want to pay me to sit here and do that. So we spoke about it. Glenn said, if I want more performance later on, I'll probably go to an aluminum intake. I don't know what all the choices are out there on the Pontiac, but I know they've got plenty. I've seen them, worked on them. So it's not going to be something on his daily drive or a cruiser that he's really going to notice. I'm sure he'll probably maybe notice an extra 15 horsepower if he gets another intake, no doubt. But for what we're trying to accomplish, again, Glenn's not trying to break the bank and he's not trying to race the car. He just wants to enjoy the car. Something I want to add, we did have to get the spacers because of our rocker arms. So we've got our valve cover spacers installed. I will get another gasket. I've got another set of quart gaskets coming for the other side. That's why we have studs in the heads for the valve covers. But we are making progress. So again, the rocker arms, push rods were installed. We primed the system. We set our valves. We verified oil pressure. Great oil pressure. Tons of oil pressure. We've got the Tomahawk valley pan installed from Butler. And we've got our factory, I believe 1971 or 72 intake manifold. And for my friend Larry, he asked on this block, he did tell me this is a 1968, I believe, Firebird 350 block. These are the numbers. You Pontiac folks out there, I'm not sure what that 207 or 1207 maybe, and then there's a D7. You guys know those numbers really well. And then maybe, I'm not sure what these numbers are here. There's a casting number on the right side of the block behind the head. I'm not sure what that number is, but that may be another very, very critical number. So again, this thing's looking like a beaut, and Glenn has a Holley Sniper coming our way. It's going to go on top of this thing, and we got to still dress out the accessory drive on this thing. That's going to be another ball of wax, get everything put back the way it's supposed to be. But we have all the pulleys and everything from when Glenn brought us the engine. So I hope everybody's getting something out of this. We've got a few small things to do. We've got to get our details done on the accessory drive, but it's going to look like a champ with that gold Sniper on here. So hope everybody has a great day.